So, in the last lecture, we have studied about the differential amplifier and different configurations of the differential amplifier, that is dual input balanced output, dual input unbalanced output, single input balanced output, and single input unbalanced output. Then the next topic was how can we deduce the expression for the operating point and how to calculate the value of different parameters in case of AC analysis. In case of DC analysis, the operating point was ICQ and VCQ, and in case of AC analysis, the different parameters are voltage gain, input resistance, and output resistance. And based on the circuit analysis, we have solved some problem related to AC and DC analysis. So that much part we had completed in our last lecture. Now today we are going to discuss the next topic of unit number 1, that is common mode rejection ratio, CMRR. And before that, we are getting some knowledge about the inverting and non-inverting terminal of op-amp. As our very first lecture, we have discussed that in case of operational amplifier, pin number 2 and pin number 3 is used for giving the input signal to the op-amp. So these are the only 2 pins by which we can give the input signal to the operational amplifier. Where we are saying that the pin number 2 is for giving the inverting input and pin number 3 is for giving the non-inverting input. Inverting, that means there is a phase shift of 180 degree in between input and output, and in case of non-inverting, there is a phase shift of 0 degree in between input and output signal. And how to identify where there is a phase shift of 0 degree or 180 degree? That depends on the sign of the expression. So based on that, we are getting the fundamental of inverting and non-inverting input terminal. So as we know, in case of differential amplifier, the value of output voltage can be given as V0 is equal to AD into V1 minus V2, where AD is differential mode gain and V1 minus V2 is the input signal which is being applied at the base terminal of transistor number 1 and transistor number 2. So with the help of this particular expression, if suppose the value of V2 voltage is equal to 0, that means the input signal which is being applied at the base terminal of transistor number 2 is 0. On that condition, the value of output will be AD into V1. And the sign of this voltage is what? Positive voltage. And positive and negative sign only being used to identify where there is a phase shift exists or not. So here the sign of output voltage is positive. That means there is a phase shift of 0 degree in between V0 voltage and V1 voltage, where V0 is the output signal and V1 is the input signal. That means whatever signal we are applying at the input terminal of the differential amplifier, same signal we are getting at the output terminal with same phase. That means there is a phase shift of 0 degree. Or we can also say that this is a non-inverting terminal of the differential amplifier or the non-inverting terminal of op-amp. Similarly, when the value of V1 is equal to 0, or if suppose the value of V1 is equal to 0, on that condition, what is the value of output? Minus AD into V2. So here we are getting the sign as negative, and the negative sign only being used to identify phase. That means if the value of V1 is equal to 0, on that condition, the base terminal of transistor number 2 is acting like the inverting terminal of op-amp. So based on that, we can identify which particular terminal is used or which terminal can be used as an inverting op-amp or as a non-inverting op-amp, by which or we can identify the different terminals of op-amp. Now the CMRR, which is our main topic of today's lecture. CMRR is nothing but common mode rejection ratio. And the fundamental of CMRR is based on the complete expression of the output. As per our lectures or whatever we have discussed till in our last lecture, that the output voltage is completely depends on the value of differential mode gain or the whatever signal we are applying from the input terminal. But in our complete lecture, we have not discussed about the noise signal. But whenever we are passing any signal from the input terminal to output terminal, there is some noise present into the signal. So when we are going to design any kind of the circuit, we also need to identify how much content of the noise is present into the output signal. So the complete expression of the output depends on differential mode gain as well as common mode gain of the signal. And this common mode gain is nothing but the average of two input AC signal which is being applied at the base terminal of transistor number 1 and transistor number 2. This AC signal is also called as the noise signal. So, as we know, VD is what? Differential mode voltage or the difference of two input voltage. So, the value of VD is V1 minus V2. Similarly, the value of common mode voltage is what? The average of two input voltage, that is V1 plus V2 divided by 2. And this common mode signal is used to drive both the terminals of the differential amplifier equally. And as I told you, it is nothing but a interference signal, static signal, or any kind of the undesirable noisy signal present into the circuit. Therefore, if we assume only V1 signal is present into the circuit, so when V1 is present, on that condition, what is the value of output? So V0 will be is directly proportional to V1. And if I remove the proportionality constant and suppose the value of proportionality constant is A1, then on that condition V1 will be equal to A1 into V1 when we are considering only V1. And when suppose we are considering the value of V2 only, on that condition what is the value of V0? So V0 will be equal to A2 into V2. So these are the two voltages present, and that depends on the availability of the input signal applied at the base terminal of transistor number 1 and 2. But suppose both the input terminals are connected with signal. That means we are applying V1 signal as well as V2 signal. Then on that condition, complete output voltage will be what? The addition of total output voltage generated due to V1 voltage source plus total output voltage generated due to V2 voltage source. Therefore, the complete expression of the output will be what? A1 V1 plus A2 V2. So this is the value of complete output. Now here two terms are present, V1 and V2. Now with the help of this VD and VC expression, we make, and from this VD and VC expression, I have calculated here the value of V1 and V2. So the value of V1 is equal to VC plus 1 by 2 VD and V2 is equal to VC minus 1 by 2 VD. You can easily calculate the value of these V1 and V2 from that particular expression. Now substitute the value of V1 and V2 in the expression of this complete output voltage. Substitute the value of V1 and V2. So after substituting the values of V1, and V2, the value of output voltage is what? A1 Vc plus 1 by 2 Vd plus A2 Vc minus 1 by 2 Vd. Then after some simplification, the value of output voltage is what? 1 by 2 A1 minus A2 into Vd plus A1 minus A2 into Vc, where this A1 minus A2 divided by 2 is denoted as AD, and AD is what? Differential mode gain. So one of the form of this differential mode gain is also as A1 minus A2 divided by 2. And the second term, A1 minus A2 is what? Common mode gain. So now replacing the values of this A1 minus A2 by 2 and A1 minus A2. So V0 will be equal to AdVd plus ACVC. This whole expression or this whole solution we are doing here to calculate the value of CMRR only. So now just solve step by step this particular expression. Then the value of V0 will be, again we are taking the value of AdVd as a common. Then AdVd, when we are taking it out, then that will be 1 plus ACVC divided by AdVd. Now take this AC term into the denominator. Take this AC term into the denominator. Then the value of V0 will be AdVd 1 plus 1 divided by AD divided by AC. 1 divided by AD divided by AC. Why I have chosen this particular term AD by AC? Why? Because this is nothing but the CMRR. This term or the ratio of this AD by AC, that means the ratio of differential mode gain to the common mode gain of the circuit is called as CMRR, and based on that the complete expression of the output can be written as AdVd 1 plus 1 by rho, rho is CMRR into Vc by Vd, where Vc is common mode signal, Vd is common differential mode voltage, rho is CMRR, AD is differential mode gain, and Vd is difference of two input voltages. So what is CMRR? So CMRR is nothing but the ratio of differential mode gain to the common mode gain of the circuit, where differential mode gain is nothing but already we have calculated in the R parameter of calculation RC divided by RE dash. And what is this common mode gain? Common mode gain is nothing but the amplification of the noise signal. Why? Because it is being calculated based on the noise signal only. So in ideal condition, or whenever we are talking about how much would be the value of CMRR, whenever we are going to design any practical electronic circuitry, so as per our knowledge, the content of noise signal into any kind of the electronic circuit should be minimum, or in ideal condition that should be 0. And here in this particular expression, that means AD by AC. AC is what? Noise signal amplification. So the value of this noise signal amplification should be 0, and when the value of this AC is equal to 0, the value of CMRR will be how much? Infinite. So in ideal condition, the value of CMRR will be infinite. So what is CMRR? So CMRR is the ability of the differential amplifier to reject a common mode signal expressed by its common mode rejection ratio. So it is basically the ability of the differential amplifier circuit to how much it can reject the noise signal present into the circuitry. That's why the value of this CMRR should be infinite. So any linear integrated circuit, how can we design any particular linear integrated circuit? That is depends on what is the value of CMRR. So in each and every condition, the value of CMRR should be very high. So this is the general expression for CMRR. Then what are the different methods by which we may improve the value of the CMRR? So now we are going to see some methods by which, because as per up to analysis, we know that the designed circuit should be noise free. So for that, we have some methods. So first of all, starting with CMRR. So as we discussed here, CMRR is equal to AD by AC. Now what is the value of this AC? Why? Because the complete methods for improving the CMRR is based on this AC only. So as per the H parameter analysis of the differential amplifier, the value of this AC can be written as minus of HFE RC divided by RS plus HIE plus twice of RE 1 plus HFE. So in this particular expression, the value of HFE is constant. For a particular circuit, HFE is also fixed. That means we may vary only the values of RE, RS or RC, which are the external parameter into the circuitry. And for enhancing the value of CMRR, as we know, the value of AC should be how much? 0. So how can we make the value of RS or the value of RE should be maximum, but RS is what? Resistance of the transistor, so that which we make that parameter equal to 0. The value of RE should be in mega ohms, or in ideal condition, the value of RE should be infinite. So when the value of RE will be high or very high, only on that condition the value of CMRR will be improved. So the different methods by which we may improve the value of CMRR is only depends on this RE. But we are having some constraints. We are not able to increase the value of RE up to a certain limit. Why? Because as we are increasing the value of RE, the total chip area will be increased. And if chip area will be increased, the cost of the circuit will be high and the circuit would be impracticable. That's why we are using some different method by which we may reduce the value of this common mode gain. So there are 3 different methods by which we may improve the value of CMRR without changing the value of RE or without enhancing the value of this emitter resistance. The very first method is the differential amplifier with constant current source. The differential amplifier with constant current source. Second method is constant current bias using Zener diode. And the third method is current mirror circuit. So these are the 3 different methods by which we may reduce the value of common mode gain. So now we are starting with one by one different methods. Go through these different methods. So the very first method is constant current biasing circuit. So the main thing for making the value of common mode gain 0, we need to make the emitter current should be constant. And here, what kind of changes we are making here? We are connecting one additional transistor at the emitter terminal of both the transistors. That is, emitter resistance is replaced by this constant current source. This complete diagram is for what? This constant current source. So here, as transistor number 1 and transistor number 2 was identical, similarly transistor number 3 is also identical as transistor number 1 and transistor number 2. That means the characteristic of these 3 transistors are same. So what is the value of this IC3? IC3 is nothing but the addition of emitter current of transistor number 1, that means this particular and IE2. So in case of constant current biasing circuit, as we know from the DC analysis of the differential amplifier, that the emitter current ICQ or operating point current, so you can see the value of what? Beta. Why? Because we are not concentrating on this RE emitter. Why? Because this particular resistance is being replaced by this constant current source. So it depends on the value of beta, and if the value of beta would be changed, the value of I will be changed, or it will directly affect the value of operating point. So whenever we are going to make some changes, we need to keep in mind the value of operating point should not be changed. Already we have discussed why the value of operating point should not be changed. Why? Because if the value of operating point will be changed, there will be the distortion into the output response of the circuit. So to make the operating point stable, I current should be constant irrespective of the value of beta DC. So for constant I, RE should be very large, and this also increases the value of CMRR. But if RE value is increased to a large value, if the value of this RE is increasing, the value of I will also be decreased. Then on that condition also there will be the change in the value of operating point. So due to these two different conditions, we need to maintain the same value of I. And how can we make the same value of I? So on that condition, we need to improve the value of this negative terminal voltage, and it must be increased to get a very high value of resistance RE and to make the constant value of I. So this is a particular solution which we have. If the value of RE is going to be increased, so for compensating the reduction into the value of IE, we need to enhance the value of negative supply. Then only we may maintain the value of operating point current should be constant. So for that, we are connecting here one constant current source. Then let's see the analysis of this circuit. Then as per the circuit analysis, now we apply one voltage divider rule at the base terminal of this transistor number 3. So as per the voltage divider rule, what is the source of voltage here? The source of voltage is negative supply VE. We need to calculate the value of this VB. VB is nothing but VB3. So how to calculate the value of this VB3? So source of supply minus VBE multiplied by opposite side of the resistance, which is R1, divided by total resistance of the circuit. So VB3 is equal to what? VE minus VEE into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. So that is the value of VB3. You know what actually I am going to calculate here? We need to calculate the value of this IE3, and this IE3 is nothing but IC3. Our main focus is to calculate the value of this IC3. Our main focus is what? We need to calculate the value of this IC3, and this IC3 is nothing but IE3. Okay? And how can we calculate this IE3? IE3 is the current across this resistance R3. So what is the value of IE3? I3 is equal to emitter terminal current minus negative supply voltage divided by R3, by which we may easily calculate the value of this I3. That's why we are moving further with the help of this particular process. Actually, I want to calculate here the value of VE3. And for calculating the value of this VE3, I am coming down from this side. So first of all, I am going to calculate the value of this VB3. Then in this VB3, I will minus the value of base to emitter voltage VBE3. Then from there we may calculate the value of VE3. So this is the process by which we may easily calculate the value of emitter current of transistor number 3. So what is VB3? VB3 is equal to minus VEE into R1 divided by R1 plus R2. That is VB3. Now what is VE3? VE3 is equal to, from this particular 3 minus VBE3, that is equal to VE3. We have calculated the value of VE3. Now what is IE3? IE3 is equal to what? VE3 minus negative supply divided by R3. So that is the value of IE3. So see from here, VB3 is that much, then VE3 what? VB3 minus VBE3 from this particular loop. Now substitute the value of VB3 from this equation. So VB3 is minus of R2 divided by R1 plus R2. Hello. Are you getting my voice? Hello. Okay. So from there, what is VE3 is minus R2 divided by R1 plus R2, V minus VBE3. So from there we have already calculated the value of IE3. So IE3 is VE minus that particular term, that is equal to IE3. So we have calculated from there the value of IE3, and IE3 is nothing but the value of IC3. IE3 is equal to what? IC3. Now what is IC3? IC3 is equal to IE1 plus IE2. So we may write from here IC3 is what? IE1 is what? IC3 divided by 2, or IE2 is what? IC3 divided by 2. Why? Because IC3 is the combination of IE1 and IE2. So from there, the complete value of IE1 is what? The value of IE3 divided by 2. So this is how we may easily calculate the value of current which is across the emitter terminal, and by which we may constant the value of current. So this is the circuit analysis of constant current biasing circuit. But there is a problem in this particular circuit. What is the problem? This particular expression depends on the value of this VBE3, and VBE3 is based to emitter voltage of transistor. And transistor is what? Transistor that is affected by temperature. If the value of temperature is increasing, then the base to emitter voltage of the transistor will be changed. So if the value of temperature is constant, then on that condition the value of emitter current will be constant. But if there is a change in the value of temperature, then the base to emitter voltage will be changed. And if the value of base to emitter voltage will be changed, then on that condition the current will not be constant. The value of current will be changed. And if the value of current will be changed, similarly there would be the change in the value of operating point. And if operating point will be changed, there would be the distortion into the output. So everything is connected to each other. We make only the changes in the value of temperature, and that affected the value of our output response. So we need to make the compensation parameter here which can compensate the change into the value of temperature. So there are using some different kind of the circuit, or we make here some temperature compensated component by which we may compensate into the value of temperature. So what is the temperature compensated component? That is diode. Why? Because diode is also affected by the temperature. And what is the value of current across the diode? So diode current is ID is equal to I naught e to the power Vt divided by eta Vt minus 1, where Vt is thermal voltage and the value of T is equal to 11600 divided by T. From there we can calculate the value of thermal voltage. So if the value of temperature is changing, in case of transistor, there is 2.5 millivolt per degree centigrade change in the value of temperature. So that much change will be compensated by these two diodes. So I have replaced from the initial circuit the resistance R2. From this particular circuit, I replaced resistance R2 by two diodes, D1 and D2. So whenever there is an increase in the value of temperature, the value of this IE3 current will be increasing, but at the same time that exceeding amount of current will pass through this diode. When there is increase in the value of temperature, then due to that the conductivity of the transistor will be increasing, and due to increase in the value of conductivity, more current will pass through this emitter terminal. So that excess amount of the current will be passed with diode. Why? Because when base voltage of the transistor will be high, on that condition diode will go into a saturation condition. That means it would be in forward biasing condition. When it is in forward biasing condition, the current IB3, maximum part of the IB3 will not pass through this emitter terminal, but most of the component will pass through this short circuited path. So by which we may compensate the value of excessive amount of the current, and our circuit would be would producing the remain same collector terminal current. So by this particular circuit, as we analyze, then the value of VB is equal to how much? Negative terminal voltage plus addition of voltage across these two diodes. If suppose total voltage drop across this diode is VD, and this particular diode voltage is also VD, then VD plus VD is twice of VD. So what is VB? VB is equal to negative supply plus twice of VD is equal to VB. So VB is minus negative supply plus twice of VD. Then what is VE? I am going through the same process which we have done in case of constant current bias using resistance. So again, we are calculating the value of VE. This particular voltage, this voltage will be what? VB minus VBE. So V is equal to what? VB minus VBE. Now substitute the value of VB. So VB is equal to minus of VE plus twice of VD minus VBE. And after some simplification, I am getting the value of current IE3 as twice of VD minus VBE3 divided by R. So that is the value of current I3 when two diodes are replaced here, whatever there in case of original constant current biasing circuit. So if the characteristic of both the diodes and transistor is same, if the characteristic of both the diode and transistor is same, that means total voltage drop or the value of VD is equal to 0.7 volt. If the value of VD is 0.7 volt, then the value of VBE will also be 0.7 volt. Then twice of 0.7 minus 0.7 divided by R3. That means 0.7 divided by R3. And 0.7 is nothing but the value of VD. So IE3 is equal to VD divided by R3, which is IC, constant. So by replacing the resistance R2 by two diodes, we may compensate the effect of temperature in constant current biasing circuit. So this is how we can make the constant current biasing circuit. One more method is there. In place of these two diodes, we may connect one Zener diode, which will also work as a constant current source. In our next circuit, the biasing of differential amplifier using Zener diode. What we have done here, only we have replaced the two diode with the help of one single Zener diode. And due to that, there is no any kind of change into the characteristic of constant current source. The output will be same. So sometimes Zener diode may be used in place of diode and resistances as shown in figure. So Zeners are available over a wide range of voltage and can have matching temperature coefficient. Again, use the same expression for all kind of the temperature compensation or the circuit temperature constant current biasing circuit. Our mathematical calculation is same. We start with this particular terminal, come to the emitter terminal, then calculate the value of emitter current. That will be same as your collector current. Okay. So that is same in each and every type of constant current biasing circuit. So this is the second type of the circuit. Now moving further to current mirrors. This is a circuit which is mostly used into the electronic circuitry whenever we need a constant current biasing source. So in case of current mirror is what? As the name indicates, there is a mirroring of the current. Mirroring, that means here we need to make the output current must be equal to the input current. So what is input current? This is the lower side of this complete circuit is what? Constant current biasing source. And current is entering with the help of this collector terminal of transistor number 3. That means IC3 is our input current, and total current across this resistance R2 is nothing but our output current. So in case of current mirror circuit, we need to make IC3 is equal to I2. So this is a basic concept for designing of constant current mirror circuit. So in this circuit, the output current is forced to be equal to the input current. Thus, in a current mirror circuit, the output current is the mirror image of the input current. So the current mirror is a special case of constant current bias, and the current mirror bias requires a constant current bias and therefore can be used to set up current in differential amplifier stage. So what is the basic fundamental or basic process for the design of current mirror? We need to force the output current must be equal to the input. So for the design of this current mirror circuit, we need to use two identical transistors. As same as transistor number 1 and transistor number 2, which we have discussed in case of differential amplifier, as there the Q1 and Q2 was identical. Similarly here, transistor number 3, Q3, and transistor number 4, Q4 is also identical to each other. Identical, that means all the characteristic of Q3 and Q4 will be same. That means VBE3 must be equal to VBE4, IB3 must be equal to IB4, and IC3 must be equal to IC4. Therefore, for circuit analysis, we use the same fundamental for deduction for generating the final expression of current mirror circuit. So this is the analysis part of current mirror. So here, as I told you, both the transistors are identical to each other, and due to that, VBE3 is equal to VBE4, IC3 is equal to IC4, and IB3 is equal to IB4. Then again start with the output terminal. So from this particular terminal at node A, this particular node, what is the incoming current? Incoming current is I2, and outgoing current is what? I and IC4. So as per the KCL at node A, I2 is equal to IC4 plus I. Then what is I? I is again divided into two parts. I is equal to IB3 plus IB4. You are getting one, na? I2 is what? I plus IC4. Then what is I? I is equal to IB3 plus IB4. Then what is the value of IB3? IB3 is nothing but IB4. As I told you, both the transistors are identical. So IB3 is IB4. So from there, I am replacing the value of IB3 by IB4. So then from here, I2 is what? IC4 plus twice of IB4. Or IC4 is what? IC3. Actually, we are going to make a relationship in between IC3 and I2. And the intermediate parameters are what? IB3, IB4, IC4. These are the intermediate parameters. So we need to replace the value of IC4 in terms of IC3. Similarly, we need to replace the value of IB4 and IB3 in terms of IC3 or something what, by which we can make a relationship in between IC3 and I2. So from there, again I am replacing the value of IC4 in terms of IC3. So IC4 is equal to IC3 plus twice of IB3. But I don't want the value of this IB3. Then I am going back with the expression of IB3 in terms of active region. In active region, IC is equal to beta IB. So replace the value of IB. IB is what? IB3 is what? IC3 divided by beta DC. IB3 is what? IC3 divided by beta DC. And from there, you may take the value of IC3 common. So IC3 in bracket 1 plus 2 divided by beta DC. So that is the value of I2. But what is beta? In general, the value of beta is 100. So 2 divided by 100 is nothing but 0.02. So 1 plus 0.02 is nothing but equal to 1. So from there, what will be the value of I2? I2 is equal to IC. That means, as per the definition of current mirror circuit, we need to force the output current must be equal to input, or the output current is the mirror image of the input current. And from this particular expression, we are also getting same expression now. But what is the necessary condition for the deduction of this particular expression? That both the transistors should be identical. When both the transistors are identical, only on that condition we can generate the current mirror. So this is all about how can we generate the different kinds of constant current sources. So we have discussed about the current common mode rejection ratio, and then different methods by which we may improve the value of CMRR. Why? Because if the value of CMRR will be high, only on that condition, the response of CMRR is low, on that condition at the output terminal, whatever response we are getting, that would be noisy. And if the response is noisy, we are not getting anything. That's why in each and every condition, the value of CMRR should be high. And for high CMRR, the value, as we know, the value of CMRR is what? AD by AC. Therefore, for increasing the value of CMRR, the value of AC should be 0. And when the value of AC will be 0, for making AC is equal to 0, the value of emitter resistance should be infinite. But we are not able to make the emitter resistance infinite. That's why we replaced the emitter resistance by a constant current source. Then how can we generate the constant current source? So we are having three different types of the circuit by which we can generate the constant current source. One is constant current biasing circuit, by which that circuit can be designed either with the help of resistances R1, R2 and RE. But there was a problem of temperature. Why? Because the complete expression of constant current bias depends on the value of VBE3, and VBE3 is nothing but the base to emitter terminal voltage of transistor number T3, which is temperature dependent. And if the value of temperature is increasing, the current will not be constant. So for making that, we replace the resistance R2 by two diodes, and by addition of these two diodes, whenever there is a change in the value of exceeding amount of current will be compensated by two diodes. And after that, we replace that two diodes with the help of one single Zener diode, and the working principle of both the circuit was same. Then the last circuit was current mirror circuit, where we need to make the input current is equal to mirror image of the output. So this is all how can we reduce the different circuit with the help of, for near to you, any doubt? Any doubt so far? Related to this constant current biasing circuit. So as per this first problem, this question is related to the constant current biasing using Zener diode. So we need to design a Zener constant current biasing circuit as shown in the figure according to the following specifications. Here, as per the question, the value of emitter current is what? 5 milliampere. The value of Zener diode voltage is 4.7 volt. Zener current is 53 milliampere. The value of beta is given as 100. Base to emitter voltage is given as 0.715 volt, and supply voltage is -9. So these are the specifications given for designing of Zener constant current biasing source. So with the help of this circuit, what we need to design? So for the designing purpose, we need to calculate the value of this resistance R2 and the value of this resistance R3. So whenever someone is telling you to design any circuit, that means you need to calculate the values of different parameters by which you can design that circuit. So this is the solution. So in each and every solution or in each and every derivation of constant current biasing source, we started with the base terminal voltage of transistor number 3. We start with the same thing. So for that, you may, for solving this particular question, you may apply one KVL or loop in this particular part. So from there, what is the value of Vz? Vz is nothing but VBE3 plus drop across this resistance. And drop across this resistance is what? IE into RE. Actually, we need to calculate the value of this RE. That's why we are following this particular part. Base to emitter terminal of transistor number 3. So what is the value of this Vz? Vz is nothing but this particular terminal voltage is Vz. So Vz is what? Vz is nothing but VB3. Vz is what? VB3. So already we are having the value of VB3. So Vz is what? VBE3 plus drop across this emitter terminal resistance. Now from there, what is the value of RE? RE will be Vz minus VBE3 divided by IE3. So from there, already you know the value of Vz that is given into the question. Vz is equal to 4.7. Value of VBE3. VBE3 is also given as 0.715. And the value of IE3. IE is equal to 5 milliampere. So all the parameters are given. So from there, you can easily calculate the value of RE. So RE is equal to 757 ohm, or it can be written as, it's actually 820 ohm. Practically we use RE is equal to 820 ohm, not kilo ohm, it's 820 ohm. Okay. Then again, what is the value of I2? This particular current, the relationship in between I2 and Iz is equal to 1.2 times of Iz. So 1.2 multiplied by Iz. What is Iz? Iz is given as 53 milliampere. Now substitute the value of Iz, 53. So from there, the value of I2 is 63.3 milliampere. Now, what is the drop across this resistance R2? So I2 into R2, that is nothing but V minus Vz. Why? Because this particular path, this is grounded. When it is grounded, this terminal is also grounded. That means both the terminals are in parallel to each other. And in parallel circuitry, voltage would be same. So whatever will be the voltage across this resistance R2 will be nothing but the total voltage in this particular path. And total voltage in this particular path is negative supply voltage plus drop across this Zener diode. So that is equal to I2 into R2. So I2 into R2 is equal to VE minus Vz. And from there you may easily calculate the value of R2. So this is how we may easily design any circuit. Only just start with the basic calculation with the help of the given circuit. Now question number 2. In this particular question, this question is related to constant current biasing source using diodes. So in this particular question, we need to design a dual input balanced output differential amplifier using a diode is minus 12 volt. Emitter current IE is given as 1.5 milliampere. Here the value of emitter current is given. That means we are talking about this particular current, this one. That means IE1 is equal to 1.5 and IE2 is also equal to 1.5. That means IC3 is what? IE1 plus IE2. That means IC3 is equal to 3 milliampere. 1.5 milliampere plus 1.5 milliampere. Please keep this in mind that the total value of IC3 will be how much? 3 milliampere. And the value of voltage gain should be less than or equal to 60. This is a constraint for the design of this circuit. So for the calculation of this, start with this again by calculating the value of VB3. From there, calculate VE3, and from there you can easily calculate the value of RE and R. So So this is the solution. Now calculate the voltage at the base terminal of transistor number 3, that is VB3, or same process. Same process you need to adopt in each question. For getting the solution of each question, start with this point only. What is the value of VB3? VB3 is negative supply voltage plus drop across these two diodes. So VE3 minus VE plus twice of VDD. And what is VE3? VE3 is equal to base terminal voltage minus base to emitter terminal voltage. So VE3 is equal to VB3 minus VBE3. So from there, what is the value of VE3? Substitute these values from this particular expression. So VE3 is equal to minus VEE plus twice of VD minus VBE3. And after some simplification, we are getting the value of IE3 as this one. And if we are assuming here the characteristic of both the transistors and diodes are same, then on that condition, what is the value of IE3? Twice of VD minus VD divided by RE. So VD divided by RE. So IE3 is equal to what? VD divided by RE. So from there we need to calculate the value of this RE. The value of VD is given as 0.7. The value of I3 is also given. Why? The value of IE3 is also given. I already told you, na? IE3 is nothing but IC3. IE3 is what? IC3. And IC3 is addition of IE1 and IE2. And in the question, the value of IE1 is equal to 1.5 milliampere and IE2 is also equal to 1.5 milliampere. That means what is the value of IC3? IC3 is 3 milliampere. Similarly, IE3 will also be 3 milliampere. That's why I have written here VD from VD divided by IE3 0.7 divided by 1.5 into 2, that is equal to 233. So we have calculated the value of RE. Now moving further to calculate the value of R2. So for the calculation of R2, what is the, I am using this particular one. So R2 is equal to VEE minus 1.4. From where you are getting the value of 1.4? Drop across D1 is 0.7. Drop across D2 is also 0.7. So total drop is 1.4 volt. So VEE minus 1.4 divided by total current I. So 1.5 into 2. So from there the value of R2 as 3.5 kilo. And in practical condition, we are taking it as 3.6 kilo. Now as per the current mirror circuit, we know that the value of output current is equal to input current. So, and what is the value of IC3? I told you IC3 is IE1 plus IE2. So this is IE1, this is IE2. That is equal to 1.5 milliampere. Now we need to calculate the value of RE dash. Why RE dash? Actually, we want to calculate this RC. Why? Because in this differential amplifier circuit, all the parameters we have calculated. Only remaining parameter is RC. And for that purpose only, in the question we have given the value of voltage gain AD. So AD is given as 60. And from the derivation of differential mode gain of dual input balanced output differential amplifier, the value of AD is what? RC divided by RE dash. Therefore, we need to calculate the value of this RE dash. So what is RE dash? So RE dash is equal to 25 millivolt divided by IE current. So 25 millivolt divided by 1.5 milliampere. So from there it will be equal to 16.67 ohm. So for getting the differential gain of 60, so substitute the value of RC as, why? Because AD is equal to RC by RE dash. So from there RC will be equal to AD into RE dash. So AD is given as 60 into RE dash we have calculated as 16.767. So that is equal to 1 kilo. So we have calculated all the parameters which are required for the design of dual input balanced output differential amplifier circuit with temperature compensation.